Thanks for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. My name is Jake Watroba. Alongside of me, we're actually in Dallas. He's not really alongside of me. With me tonight is Arman Kafai. We have no Steven Jodaran. We're going to go with the night off. So make sure you follow us on Twitter at Uncle Sam Soccer Pod. Make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave us a review, a good review. Big news today for Uncle Sam Soccer Podcast. We are now on Spotify. I can confirm.
On my playlist.
I did listen to last week's show on Spotify earlier this afternoon. So if you are a Spotify user, if you get your podcasts on Spotify, make sure you find us on there. Just search Uncle Sam Soccer Podcast. You should find us. Has our entire library for you to choose from. If you want to go back and listen to Armand's rant on the U.S. men's national team failure to qualify for the World Cup just a little bit over a year ago, you can go and do that. So make sure you check us out on there. Armand, how are you doing? You were at the match last night that saw the U.S. women's national team clinch a CONCACAF title. Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah. So they clinched the World Cup on Sunday, World Cup berth on Sunday, with a 6-0, I would call it a drubbing of Jamaica. And they came in and I think genuinely outplayed a Canadian team who's supposed to be top in the world and only won 2-0, but that wasn't without a multitude of opportunities. So, yeah, I mean, they clinched a nice crown in front of a nice, modest crowd. I mean, I can't blame them. The weather was absolutely garbage. For Texas. I don't want none of y'all Midwestern folk to come in and talk to me about how, snow, and, I gotta go through all this. I mean, for Texas, it was just pretty bad weather. But, yeah, so it was pretty interesting, pretty cool to see them clinch the crown in our backyard. And now it's time for the Hall of Fame induction on Saturday in MLS.
Armand, you've been following this women's national team through qualifiers. Does this team have what it takes to win in France next year?
I mean, if you want me to judge through qualifiers, it's impossible because they're dominant. They're way better. They almost shouldn't even be on the same field sometimes as some of the teams in CONCACAF. And that's not a slight against those teams in CONCACAF. They're trying to develop an infrastructure and develop a system. I mean, because there's not that many women's professional leagues, and one of them's in the United States, and a lot of them have been using the college program to get better. But just such a gap. It's really hard to tell if, from qualifying. But overall, I do think this team does have a chance at winning the World Cup, and they won it in 2015. The team is returning a lot of the same players. Let me tell you something, Jake. Megan Rapinoe has to be one of the best female players I've ever seen. Like, period. She's just phenomenal with the ball, and it's just so smooth with it too. It's phenomenal the way she plays, and her and Alex Morgan pairing up when Morgan's up top, and now they have I'm actually going to do the story on it that should be out when this podcast is out potentially. They have a forward at right back now, so I mean they have plenty of options. They're continuing to continue on, and I think they need more friendlies that are challenging to ramp it up, but I do think this team can win the World Cup.
You kind of touched on it there with your comment on more challenging friendlies. Do you think playing in CONCACAF, and obviously they really have no control over this, but do you think playing in a region like CONCACAF might be a detriment to this team come next summer?
No, I don't think it'll be a detriment. I mean, if anything, it might be a positive because it makes things so much easier to qualify for a World Cup. But I mean, overall, Jake, the gap is so big. The U.S. won their first 4 games to qualify for the World Cup 24-0 combined. That's a ridiculous stat line. It doesn't look good. I mean, CONCACAF needs to do more. It needs to help, like provide, better, I guess, pathways to get development going for these countries. I mean, if you look at a team like Jamaica who just qualified for their first World Cup, I mean, their coach is like, hey, we're trying to get players in the call-out system. We're trying to develop an infrastructure in our country. I mean, a lot of these teams don't have an infrastructure. So I mean, there's maybe like 10, maybe 15, 10 teams, or I would say 10 that are going to compete for the World Cup next year. I mean, you're going to see a lot of ugly games in the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup. There's still a very large gap between those teams, but I don't think it's a detriment. I think it does help them qualify easier, though.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how it plays out, because it seems like, most notably with the 2015 World Cup, you almost got the feeling that there was only 4, maybe 5 teams that could actually win it, and now you're saying that there might be 10 teams that are good enough to win the Women's World Cup, and that's good in terms of just quality and in terms of just.
It has to get better. I mean, it has to, in terms like if the rest of the world gets better, it's going to help women's soccer as a whole. Because I mean, if I'm a casual fan, I'm not tuning into a game as 6-7-0. I'm sorry. I'm just after 3-0. It's like, okay, what can I get away from? What can I get from this tactically? If you watch any of the group stage games or the game against Jamaica, the U.S. was on a whole nother level. Their movement, everything. It just looked like just two teams that are just obviously just not equal, not playing. It's like two teams that are just relatively close in terms of skills. So I mean, the game has to get better overall, and hopefully we can start seeing more competitive matches. Or it just could be the U.S. is just so damn dominant that we're just taking it for granted at this point.
Yeah, that definitely could be. I mean,
they could just be as dominant as hell. I'm just taking it for granted.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, we'll have to wait and see how that plays out come next summer. You did mention that the U.S. women's are on a completely different level, but what I want to really talk about here as we transition here in the show is the level that Wayne Rooney is on and the level that goal he scored last night against TFC. How about that goal?
I already sent my apology letter in last night, officially.
We both have sent our apology letters in. Mine was 2 or 3 episodes ago.
Steven will admit it. But he did not think Rooney would do this. Come on, man. No one can. This guy was just not looking that. Sure, he wasn't looking that great in the EPL, but I mean, especially the way he played and whatnot. I mean, first off, credit to Ben Olsen for playing him as this like false 9, but kind of 10 role, where he's drift from 4 to center mid, linking up with Lucho Acosta. I mean, they've actually played some very entertaining football. And that goal, come on, Jake. It was pregame before the women's national team match, and I just yelled in the press box, "Damn, what a hit by Rooney!"
Yeah, that was a very good goal. I didn't see it initially when you texted me and Steven. We got a holy bleep, I think, from you, all in all caps. I think was the text. I didn't see the goal until I was scrolling through Instagram late last night. I don't know if you do this. You lay in bed, you look through Instagram, or you look through Twitter, or whatever, and kind of fall asleep to that.
I look for my boo on there. So
you're waiting for you're looking at your mentions, you're looking in your DMs for that very special someone.
They're dry. Okay.
But no, I saw that goal, and that was probably 35 yards out or so.
I would say, yeah.
Absolute screamer. And the way he finessed that ball, the bend on that ball too. You get the camera angle from behind, from Rooney's back, basically. Coming from the DC United goal, and the goalkeeper for Toronto FC. You helped me out with. Was it Irwin last night?
Yeah,
we'll go with that.
I think, right? Was it? Let's go with Irwin. I mean, it doesn't matter. They're eliminated.
Right.
It doesn't matter. They're eliminated.
He had no chance. No chance of saving that whatsoever. And
yeah, he didn't. It was Bono, by the way.
Bono. Okay, Bono. I wasn't sure if he was with the U.S. or not. I have not. By the way, we're going to preface this by saying you will not get any U.S. men's national team talk tonight. none of us.
Or at all until they get a coach. I mean, I think that's the standard we've gone for. We feel as if as a collective in the podcast that these games have no meaning, so we're gonna refrain from commenting on them at the moment because they don't have meaning in our eyes until we get a coach, until we get a system, until we get everything going. We're gonna leave it like that.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. So if you came to this podcast expecting to get a breakdown of U.S. Peru, I might suggest maybe Alexi Lawless's podcast, or I'm sure Max and her. Somebody will do it. We're not doing it though.
The guy, his name is Scuffed. He has a good American podcast.
Scuffed. I actually have listened to Scuffed. Yes, listen to Scuffed.
I would go listen to him for U.S. soccer coverage. For us, the time being, I know we're Uncle Sam's American Soccer Podcast. Come on, man, hire a coach. All right, we're good.
You don't want Dave Sarakan? You want to go on this rant? Because I feel like you've been waiting to go on this rant for a while. I know we said we're not going to talk U.S. men's soccer, but now I feel like we have to.
Why don't we have? Man, I'm gonna keep it real with you, Jake, and our listeners. I'm looking at you through my computer, I guess, or whatever. We don't have a coach. It's over a year now.
Breaking
news.
We're
behind Greg Berhalter. We're behind Greg Berhalter. There's reports of Todd Ramos.
Oh, God.
Man, I don't get it. I don't get it. To me, it's disappointing that we don't have a national team coach yet. It's very disappointing. And Mexico's about to hire Tata Martino. Woo, woo. And that's gonna be that looks like a great hiring if they do that. And now we're looking at Big Mama Dave in the house and him, caretaking everyone, starting Will Trapp in a 4-1-4-1. Just name a better duo, Will Trapp and Dave Sarakan. Why is Will Trapp on the national team at the time? I'm not sure. It's not taking away that he's not a great player, but I feel like we've seen enough of Will Trapp. Why don't we have someone else in there? Maybe like a Danny Williams.
Thank you. Can somebody I'm going to cut you off here and get on my soapbox just for 10 seconds here.
All right.
Why the hell has Danny Williams not been given a chance in God knows how long? Why? He plays at a Premier League club. Granted, a bottom table Premier League club. But why are the Will Trapps of the world? Why is Michael freaking Bradley, man? I'm so sick of the philosophical BS that is Michael Bradley getting called in. Like, why is he getting called into the national team now? Come on, it's 2019 or 2018. My God, I'm gone now. I guess it's 2018. We're not playing competitive matches. This isn't Gold Cup. This isn't World Cup qualifiers. Why is Michael Bradley getting any run whatsoever? Why are we calling in Danny Williams? Let's see what Danny Williams can do. What can Danny Williams do with Timothy Weah? What can Danny Williams do playing alongside Weston McKennie or Adams? Why? Why can't he get any playing time? What? I don't understand. Can you help me? Help me understand this. Can you put on your Dave Sarakan cap there, Arman, and tell me why Danny Williams hasn't gotten called up? And I get it. It's Danny Williams. I'm freaking out about Danny Williams right now. I'm not freaking about somebody like Christian Pulisic. But Danny Williams, man, you can't tell me he does not deserve at least a look over guys like Will Trapp. You know what you get with Michael Bradley now at this point. It's 2018. These aren't competitive matches. Give somebody else a look. That's the end of my rant.
I mean, the only thing I would say is I guess Danny Williams isn't playing at in the Premier League. He has only played in I think 0 matches, and he played in the EFL Cup. But for me, it's just a matter of I'm actually throwing a name out there.
Let me. Okay, he's only played in the EFL Cup. Josh Sargent hasn't even appeared for the first team yet for Werder
that's
Bremen.
fair. That's fair. That's very fair. Yeah, and that's the problem. You get these instances with form and whatnot that are kind of weird because you have a guy who hasn't played a professional game, right? With Werder Bremen, and yet you can't it's kind of hard to make an argument to someone else because you have a guy like Sargent in the team. You have a guy like Julian Green, who's which I apparently pissed off his dad. So some guys that aren't necessarily performing as well as they could be, but my problem with it, Jake, is we know what we get from these guys. And that's, I think, my issue. I think we know what we're going to get from these guys. But I'm not even saying call in a guy who's like 20 to play defensive mid. I'm saying maybe call another MLS guy who's 24, 25 or something like that. We just know what we're gonna get with Will Trapp. Why don't we experiment and try something else? It's just my thought process. And Big Mama Dave in his 4-1-4-1 is amazing, and to me he's not. To me, the U.S. national team wants to keep him in the team because he's been a caretaker for over a year. Look, man. If Dave Sarakan gets a permanent job, I'm gonna be so upset.
He hasn't earned it. What has he done to earn it? If anyone tells me he's played,
so
if anyone tells me,
no, okay, time out. First off, I don't even think Berhalter's earned it. To be quite honest with you,
that's a fair point.
Greg Berhalter's earned it.
I think Greg Berhalter has showed that he can get more out of players. If that makes sense. Look at Jossie Zardes. I mean, he's raised the water level there. Justin Merrim seems to play better underneath Berhalter.
Well, I mean, let's break it down with the 5 candidates that Taylor Twellman talked about on the broadcast.
Break it down because I don't know who these 5 candidates are actually. So break this down. This is new to me.
So it was Peter Vermees, Greg Berhalter, Greggy, Greg Vanney, Vermees, Porter, Oscar Pereira, and Jesse Marsh. Jesse Marsh apparently isn't even on the list because, he hates the national team because he was pissed at the way they fired him and Bob Bradley in I think it was after it was in 2011. So let's go through it. Jesse Marsh, Pereira, Porter, Vermees, Vandy, Berhalter. Can you guess who has the highest winning percentage out of those 6 candidates?
Oh, it's Vermees or Berhalter. I'll go Vermees.
Marsh.
Oh, shit.
Marsh.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's
and
a good point.
Marsh has more coaches, MLS coaches or games coached. Who has the highest goal difference?
Marsh.
Yep. Who has the second highest?
Vermees.
Wrong. Oscar Pereira.
Okay.
I'm sorry. No, the highest goal difference is Vermees. Actually, second highest is Marsh. Third is Pereira. But Pereira has the second highest win percentage.
So let me ask you this. Taylor Twellman's list only consisted of MLS player or MLS coaches.
Well, what's they gonna hire?
Why is it but on the real, why does it have to be an MLS coach?
Because
I get it.
They've
waited until November now, so I get it. Any available manager who you'd want in Europe is probably managing, unless you want to wait for somebody to get fired. Unless that's what they're doing. You're right. I mean, I just don't understand why an MLS coach. What? And I'm not saying Jake, an MLS coach isn't qualified, but I just don't understand why we waited this long for a Greg Berhalter or a Peter Vermees or Oscar Pereira.
Because Jake, you don't understand. We're so arrogant that we believe only certain people understand the American player. I feel like soccer is a universal language. We eliminated Tata Martino because he didn't speak English. And by the way, for the record, I think Tata Martino speaks perfect English. He just doesn't speak it to the media because he doesn't want to do questions in English. That's my guess. That's like
Ichiro. He claimed he couldn't. Ichiro, and I think Yu Darvish is this way too. You might know this because he played for the Rangers. But they both said they couldn't speak English. But I know damn well they both speak perfect English.
Yeah, they speak, and like Tata's one of them. My problem with it, Jake, is we laugh off the best candidate for the national team, Juan Carlos Osorio. Why do we laugh him off? This guy has gotten this like weird knack of being like Klinsmann because he rotates players. Come on. This is stupid. The MLS media, I'm sorry, some of the stuff I've been hearing through the MLS Twitter has been ridiculous. Such as Juan Carlos Osorio is not a good coach. Oh, he did bad with the Red Bulls. He lost to Chile 7-0. Okay, we'll give you that. Has anyone on this list beaten the defending world champions 1-0? Granted, they looked rough in the group stage. But the way that Osorio got Mexico to attack Kimmich, especially when he would push up and join the attack and attack that side, was impressive. Mexico basically dominated throughout that match. I mean, we have to agree on that. Juan Carlos Osorio mixes up things and plays well. He's a tactician. He would be one of the more tactical coaches in U.S. soccer history. And let's look at this list. Greg Berhalter, I mean, he has potential, but what we need someone that's a little bit proven. Vanny, no, Vanny would be off my list. Vermees, I'm not sure if Vermees would work, but maybe he could. Caleb Porter, scratched off. Oscar, okay, he might be able to work, but I mean, he's shown now he's a guy who wants to he can play, whatever style he needs to. I look at Marsh on that list, and I go a guy who's proven with the track record of pressing, which the U.S. is really good at, athletic, fast, and fit. A guy with the proven track record of winning, a guy who can experiment tactically like a Berhalter, but a guy who's being laughed off because of disagreement in 2011. And anyone that says otherwise, I don't agree with you. Sorry, Jake, I have to go on my little soapbox.
Let me. I know I did this last week, but I'm going to do it again. Let me put my tinfoil hat on.
Tinfoil Ted.
Let me get my tinfoil Ted on here. I think you and I, and you met the guy calling the shots for U.S. Soccer last night, and Carlos Cordero. Reads your stuff, by the way. I'm sure that was a very big ego boost for you.
Oh, my ego was out of the roof when he said that.
So he claims.
I was pretty confused too.
That's yeah. I think you and I are both in agreement that Carlos Cordero does not call all the shots for U.S. Soccer.
Well, yeah, I agree.
Would you say MLS has a very big influence in what happens inside the federation?
Well, I mean, you're not the only person that would believe that, no? Because NASL fought a collusion thing.
They did file a collusion thing,
right? I mean, that's the element of collusion. The USSF and MLS were colluding for another top league from forming.
So hear me out on this one, okay? Is it entirely possible that MLS is influencing the national team coach hire because it doesn't want somebody like Klinsmann to challenge the national team players to play over in Europe? Is that possible?
It's tough. Because they hired a technical director that worked in MLS.
But I mean, I'm going to go against what I just said to play devil's advocate against myself here. The technical director did serve several years over in Europe, more specifically in the Netherlands, with clubs.
I mean, it could be, but
doesn't that kind of seem like what's going on here? Doesn't that? I mean,
but
why are we holding out?
I just don't get why people are okay with laughing off Juan Carlos Osorio, and I want people who listen to the show to tweet at me why they believe that's 100% fine and that's okay, because I talked to another journalist about this, and this is ridiculous. Why aren't we talking about Juan Carlos Osorio? Why don't we want him? Why instead are we listening to Matt Doyle? Came on the show, so I'm not going to disrespect him, but his opinion is, Osorio is like Klinsmann in terms of rotating, and he talks about some Metro Star stuff, some Chicago Fire stuff, some Red Bull stuff. Not Metro Stars, Red Bull.
Wait,
man.
Can't you argue that by not rotating players is what cost the U.S. qualification into the 2018 World Cup?
So many things. Why is Klinsmann a bad thing? I'll say that right now.
Klinsmann was right on many different things. Now, tactically, he was not right. But
exactly.
He had the right ideas in terms of what you need to do to be a successful federation, in terms of getting players to the highest level in Europe or across the world, really. Making sure players were challenging themselves to be the best they could be and not just settling for – and I don't blame Michael Bradley or Josie Altiver for doing this – not just taking the big payday in MLS and having the easy ride for the rest of your career.
The problem is with Klinsmann is he challenged these guys. Like, is that a problem?
There's that, and then
tactically. If we go back, actually, to the old show, I agree. Klinsmann was an awful coach. Awful. I mean, he told the guys 2 days before the Mexico match that they're going to run a 3-5-2 in Columbus. And they looked lost, confused, and they had to switch it up, and they couldn't salvage a win.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I forget his name, but when Steven and I interviewed the gentleman who wrote that piece for The Ringer earlier this spring about
I forgot his name too. Yeah.
In regards to the failure to qualify. I mean, he highlighted a lot of how the things Klinsmann did in practice kind of left players scratching their heads and not really knowing what was expected of them come match day. So, but either way, I know we said we weren't going to talk about this, so maybe we should just wrap this up here at this point because I feel like we could just babble on and on.
No, let's not wrap this up. Let's keep going.
Well, we only got about like 10 more minutes here, and I do want to touch on what's going on with Nisa here. I mean, maybe we can close the show with that. But give me you got a minute. Just give me your final thoughts.
We're looking at the wrong coach in MLS. We're genuinely looking at the wrong.
Let me
MLS.
Pump the brakes here. Who is the right coach then in MLS for this job?
I would have to say Vermees.
Why?
I would
break
say
it down.
Vermees. Let's break it down. And this comes from a guy who talks to Oscar Pereira every weekend. Comes from a guy who's been openly stated, "Hey, I would be fine with Greg Berhalter as a head coach, but let's eliminate Caleb Porter and Greg Vanney." I think those two you don't want them. You don't want them coaching at the moment. Looking at Greg Berhalter and Oscar Pereira, they have not had consistent success. We had that weird year for SC Dallas last year. Scratch him out. I think Berhalter had the same thing in 2016. No, when the Crew went to the MLS Cup and then didn't do anything. Right? I think those are two anomalies. Scratch him out. I think Vermees is the only guy who's been able to play young players, play a consistent system. Now that I'm thinking about it, this is honestly the first time I've said this on any platform. Play a consistent system, a 4-3-3, the midfield that suffocates a team. Where I had opposing players tell me that their middle three is just so good. He can implement young players in. We saw Busio score yesterday, 16-year-old, playing right there, and he's had consistent success. This is a guy, when you think of SKC, do you think of a loser? No, you think of a winner year in and year out. This guy is the only one on the list outside of Porter, I'd say, that has an MLS Cup, right? The rest of Vanney too, but I feel like Vanney, from the list of three I have, I mean, you're only going to have Vermees. Consistent success, strong system that he consistently likes to use, and it's just a strong presence too. I don't think he leaves for the USMNT national team, though. I think he enjoys his power that he has with SKC. I think he enjoys his job, and I hate to say it, but I think he wouldn't. I don't know if he'd accept the job from the USMNT national team, but I think his best option. What about you?
I'm going to give you my hot take. You ready for a hot take?
Yeah, tinfoil. Let's do it.
This isn't tinfoil because this isn't a conspiracy.
Oh.
The U.S. soccer has waited until what's the date today? October 18th, 2018. We are now over a year since the loss in Trinidad. The U.S. has waited nearly. When was Bruce Arena fired? Was it?
He resigned, right? Like slowly after the match.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. We're basically at a year now. We're basically at a year since Bruce Arena stepped down. At this point, instead of just settling for an MLS coach, unless you've earmarked whoever the MLS coach is, unless you've earmarked them as the top candidate, that's the guy you want to go with. At this point, in my eyes, instead of settling for an MLS coach, why don't you just wait? Just wait longer. If you really want a guy in Europe or who's coaching in Europe right now, why don't you just wait? Just wait until February or March or whenever. I mean, at this point, what's 3 more months, 4 more months?
I mean, that's a fair point.
I mean, come on. Like, why are we settling for the Greg Berhalter of the world if we can go and hire somebody out of Europe who might be a better fit for the national team? And here's the other thing, too. When people talk about we need an American coach to reach these American players, I don't know if I texted this to you. This was earlier this afternoon or yesterday afternoon. I feel like there's more American players playing in Europe right now than there ever has been. Is that a fair statement? I feel like there's tons of Americans in Europe right now.
Maybe it's not the amount, but I feel like we are getting
the
more
quality.
Exposure. I think they're getting a lot more exposure and quality. Yeah.
If those and especially the American kids who are performing at a high rate in Europe, they don't need an American coach. They just need the best coach. They don't need a Peter Vermees to understand the American way. They just need a guy. They need a guy who can coach them up and just be a better player for the national team. So why not wait 3 months? Wait for someone to be fired in Europe and go and grab them, or you know what I mean? like if the Gold Cup isn't until what, June?
Yeah.
Middle of June. So you can see you have what, 8-9 months until the Gold Cup. If you gotta wait until March,
Something
you gotta
like
wait
that,
until March. What's the big deal at this point? You've waited this long. Why settle for why settle for a lesser coach? That is my question to you, Arman, and that is my question to the listeners.
Man, I think U.S. Soccer has put pressure on themselves by allowing this to continue to wait.
Then you know
drag
what?
out.
Then you know what? Come out and say we're waiting for somebody in Europe. Just come out and say it. Just say we want to give coaches in Europe a fair shake. We're going to wait a little bit longer, and then take the pressure off. Because look, you can hire an MLS.
No, they wouldn't do it.
No, but you can hire an MLS coach in January, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
You can. I mean, come on. Either way, I'm done. Okay, we're done with this subject. We're done with this. We talked enough about this subject.
We'll never be done with this subject. Until we hire a coach, I'm going to be going. I mean, we're talking about Rooney's goal. We ended up on this topic.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
All right. We got about 5 minutes here before we're going to sign off. This is going to be an abbreviated episode. About 5 minutes here. Quickly, was that Rooney goal one of the best goals of the year?
Yeah.
What would you say it was better than Zlatan's goal against LAFC?
No.
Does that
was
still
a
rank?
hallmark moment MLS.
I agree. All right. We're off Rooney. We bookend the U.S. men's national team talk with Rooney talk. Let's talk about Nisa. There was some news that broke this week in regards to Nisa. They have announced 2 teams, clubs, franchises, whatever we're going with. I don't even know anymore at this point. On October 15th, Nisa announced there will be a club in the state of Connecticut that will, quote-unquote, represent New England, which will kick off 2019-2020 August. So they're going to go with the European calendar. They're going to start in August. I did see they're going to take a break sometime in the winter. And then earlier today, they announced they are also placing a club in Philadelphia. Armand, do you have any takes on Nisa right now, or what they're trying to do? I think it's interesting that they want to do the European calendar. They want to start with the August start.
I mean, I agree, because it shows, hey, like all of those discussion. Oh, it can happen. Oh, we can do it. So let's see another league try it, and if it works, then maybe we'll see in the future if MLS takes something from it. There's only good things that can come from this, Jake, because Nisa isn't going to be USL and have a partnership with MLS. Nisa wants to compete with MLS. I think that's what they want to do. They want to compete. And what have we seen in sporting history? I mean, I hate to go off on a little bit of a tangent, but we've seen through sporting history that mergers can be so beneficial. Without the ABA, was it 3-point line wouldn't exist? Or something like that. Like
you're asking the wrong guy. I'm not a great ABA
historian.
Yeah.
Well, there would be certain and without the ABA, there would be certain teams. I mean, NFL and AFL, NL and AL.
You had the NHL and the Western Hockey League or the World Hockey League. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, we can go on. We can go on and talk about leagues that have had impacts on other leagues, forcing mergers with good competition. We need this competition, Jake. We need it. We do. We do. In within the U.S. specifically, in order to push some of these markets to go harder.
You're right. You're great. And what I think is funny, and I noticed this on Nisa's or in their Nisa's Twitter's mentions, were all the, I don't know if MLS fanboys is the right way, because Steven loves that. Steven loves that phrase. Let me just point out.
Fanboys. Oh, the fanboys.
The people, though, criticizing Nisa for having the balls to say, you know what, we're going to start in August, and we're going to play through the winter into the spring. And I don't know why they're getting flack for that. They want to try something new. They want to stand on their own and say, we are going to play by the FIFA calendar, the European calendar, or whatever the name of the calendar is. We're going to do this, and we're going to see how it works. And I appreciate it. And I know. And we had Peter Wilt on. God knows how long ago that was. That in the winter, I want to say.
That was a whirlwind ago.
That might have been before I was even on the show. But if I recall, there was mention of promotion relegation, was there not?
Yeah, there was.
And Nisa seems to be open to the idea of having a pyramid within their own structure.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was.
And I kind of like that. They're making themselves different. They want to stand out from MLS, and they want to give people something that there's a lot of soccer fans in this country, and I don't want to turn this into a Pro Rel for USA talk, but don't worry, we'll hashtag it on Twitter.
I mean, hey, Jake, we were talking, about the MLS CBA. It expired after the 2019 season.
It does. You guys were talking about how the USL could maybe take over MLS.
Not USL, but
Nice is not going to do that.
Well, we could see them fill that gap, no? Because they're going to be playing during the switches.
I mean, potentially, but Rome wasn't
potentially.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
But and by the way, like I do think this is going to be a very vigorous MLS CBA because some of the players deserve better. Come on, man, give them charter flights.
Oh, definitely.
Grant.
They definitely deserve charter flights.
They have to.
And real quick, MLS cannot afford to have a lockout.
Oh, no way.
Because unlike
the owners are going to bend backwards.
Unlike the NBA, unlike the NFL, unlike Major League Baseball, MLS is not the best at what it does in the world. There are probably 10 other leagues in the world that are better than MLS at what they do. So the owners cannot afford to let this go to a lockout. They need to, like you said, bend over backwards. And not bend over backwards maybe, but they need to come to the negotiating table and work with the players to get a deal to make sure that there isn't a lockout in a couple of years. That's my rant. But anyway, that's the show. Like I said, an abbreviated show this week. We're going to be off this weekend. Arman is going to be covering the FC Dallas match on Sunday. I will be at the Minnesota United LA Galaxy match.
For Zlatan or for Minnesota United?
Well, it's Zlatan's going to play, so that's always a plus. That's definitely a plus. It is their Minnesota United is what they're calling the hashtag 50K to midway. So they're going to break the Minnesota soccer attendance record set by probably the Kicks in the 70s.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
It's at 49,000 something. So
something like that.
They're trying to sell at TCF Bank Stadium. It sounds like they've done that though. So that'll be 50 plus. So that'll be exciting. That'll be cool to see that stadium filled up for soccer. And because I'll be gone, because you'll be gone, Steven's got no one to do the show with. So there'll be no show this weekend. So make sure you follow us on Twitter at UncSamSoccerPod. Make sure you follow Arman Kafai at Arman Kafai and read his work on ProSoccerUSA.com. His FC Dallas work, phenomenal. Arman, you are.
Hey, chill out, man. Stop boosting me. But I got some articles coming out tomorrow. Hopefully, we're in the kitchen cooking a little late.
Carlos Cordero loves his work. Follow Steven Jodorand.
Allegedly.
If you have any Save the Crew things you want to throw at us, make sure you throw it at Steven Jodorand. Hit him with the graphs. I haven't seen anybody hit us with any graphs as Steven challenged Save the Crew fans in attendance last week. So if you got any graphs you want to throw at us, throw them at Steven Jodorand. He'll be the guy to.
I don't want to see him.
I don't want to see him either. I don't care anymore.
I see too many damn graphs in my econ class, so I don't
Sure.
care about your regression analysis. Come on.
Yeah, don't care. But Steven does. Steven loves graphs. Anyway, make sure you leave us a review on iTunes. Only good reviews. We only accept good reviews on iTunes. And Spotify. Check us out on Spotify. We're there too. We'll talk to you guys in about a week and a half. Deuces.